Hello, welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I am no longer on my cabin on Utopia of the Seas. I am at home in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. While I'm very happy to be home, the circumstances were not the best. So before I get into the vlog, I thought I would give a little bit of context on everything that happened. While I was filming this back 2 weeks ago, I didn't know how much I wanted to share, and I was still kind of processing everything that happened so abruptly. Now that I'm home and it's been 2 weeks, I can give you a bit more context about the whole situation. So as I left it in the last vlog, and as many people were confused, I had just gone back into the shows after suffering a concussion, and I was feeling great. I was so happy to be back in the shows. We had about 2.5 weeks left at this point, and then 2 days later we had shows again. I did my warm-up, got ready for the shows, and just a couple hours before the show I got my period. I'm sorry if this is too much information for some people, but I'm a pretty open person most of the time, and I want to share a bit about what happened. So if women's menstrual cycles are not something you like to hear about, then maybe just skip forward to the actual vlog. But I will give a little bit of context. So before the show started, I got my period, and it was not like my normal period. It was a lot more blood than normal. I thought it would be okay. I went into the shows, and about 1/4 into the first show, I could not finish the show. I was just bleeding too much. And for me to not finish a show, it takes a lot. The only times I've never finished a show is when I got concussed and when I broke my foot. But that's a story from another time. So I couldn't finish the show, and I went to medical at this point because I was bleeding at an alarming pace. Something like this had never happened to me, and I didn't really know what was going on. So I went to medical. They took my blood and checked my hemoglobin levels. They said everything was okay. They would make an appointment for me to see a specialist in emergency the next morning when we docked in Port Canaveral, but they said it was fine if I went back to my cabin. So I went back to my cabin. About an hour later, I started to get very concerned with how much blood I was losing. I was concerned that I wouldn't make it until the morning at the rate at which I was losing blood. So I went back to medical, and I told them that I wanted to stay there. They hooked me up to an IV and started giving me IV fluids, and then monitored me throughout the night. But I could not sleep because I was so concerned for my safety and my health, and just trying to make it to the morning, like mentally just trying to tell my body to stop bleeding. Then in the morning, they took me in an ambulance to one hospital where I was for a few hours. After doing an ultrasound, some tests, they realized they could not help me there because there was no OBGYN. So they transferred me to another hospital. At this point, I knew I was not going back to the ship today. I was okay with it because I just wanted to stay alive. I had only packed one change of clothes, my face wash, and I think that was like pretty much it. My laptop. I wasn't prepared to stay in the hospital. So they transferred me to the second hospital where there was an OBGYN, and she saw me later that night. Her hypothesis is that because of the concussion, I got the concussion like 3 days before I was supposed to have my period, and it kind of delayed it because I didn't get my period after, and that can happen sometimes for me just due to stress. So I wasn't too concerned. She thinks that I didn't ovulate due to the concussion, either was under a lot of stress or didn't signal the right hormones to be released. So threw off my cycle, and because I potentially didn't ovulate, the lining just grew and grew and grew, and when my period finally came, it was out of control. And even like the nurse that was there was very concerned with the amount of blood I was losing. When I say that I was worried that I wouldn't make it to the morning, I'm not over exaggerating. It was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. The OBGYN at the second hospital prescribed me progesterone, which is a hormone, to slow the bleeding, and that pretty much worked within a few hours, and I could finally relax a bit that night. I look back on it now and I didn't realize just how stressful this experience was. After I took this medication, the bleeding slowed, and they kept me in the hospital overnight to monitor. They continually took my blood and monitored my vitals. My blood pressure was really, really low that night. It continually dropped lower the more blood that I lost, but it had dropped to like 77/46, I think. It was really low. And I have low blood pressure to start with, just because I'm an athlete and I think it's also in my genetics, but this was like another level low blood pressure. Also, I think the 2 days that I sort of spent in medical hospital, other hospital, I had a total of 6 bags of IV fluids. My arms were like really bruised up because they had a problem finding my vein on one side. Side note, 2 of the nurses I had in the second hospital, both of them had been on Utopia and both of them had seen the ice show, so that was a cool experience to be treated by people who had seen me perform. Also, when I was being transferred to the second hospital, this is when HR told our ice captain, Sammy, that all of my belongings would need to be packed up. So they had like 30 minutes, I think, to pack up all my belongings. Jordan, Sammy, Trent, and Miu. And they did a great job. I was concerned that when I opened my suitcase it would be like a bomb went off, but it was pretty organized. I didn't have to change too much after that, which I'm so thankful for. So after I was discharged from the hospital, I was taken to a hotel which was close to the port, and I stayed in the hotel for about 5 days before I was flown home. During this time, I was still not sure if I was going back to the ship or staying in the hotel and being sent home, because it's a whole process that you have to go through. I felt better and I wanted to go back to the ship, but due to the process in which things have to be done so that you're cleared medically to work, they had to send me home so that I could see a specialist for a follow-up and finish the course of medication. It was quite sad. I shed a lot of tears over having to go home and leave the cast 2 weeks before the end of the contract, especially after everything I had been through this whole contract. I literally started this contract with a broken foot that had just healed enough for me to put on skates. After everything I had been through, I was so bummed to have to go home early. I guess my body was trying to tell me something, that I needed some rest, so now I'm here. That's where this vlog comes in. I vlogged a little bit while I was in the hotel. The day after I learned that I would be sent home, I got my flights that morning and I had 24 hours before I was flying out. So I made a spur of the moment decision and decided that I was gonna go see NASA by myself. And I had a great day. It definitely boosted the mood. So now I'll go back in time to the vlog. You'll see me enjoy my time at NASA and travel home. All right, I just found out I'm going home tomorrow, and something that's been on my bucket list is I really want to visit the Kennedy Space Center, NASA. I just decided like 5 minutes ago that I would put on makeup, get dressed, and get ready to go. I'm just about to order a lift and I'll have like 5 hours there. So I'm gonna take you along with me. It's a little off the cuff, spur of the moment decision, but I think I'm gonna have a good day. All right, I'm taking you with me. Jill's gonna be here in 4 more minutes and then I'm off to NASA. Okay, I've just got here. I'm a little overwhelmed. There's so much to see and do, and it's already 12 o'clock because I didn't know it was coming here today. Got my map. Something I really want to see is the gateway. It has like all new cutting edge like space stuff, but before I see that, I think I want to go back in history a little bit, and I think I'm gonna go see the Apollo Saturn sector. Really sucks that I don't have someone here with me because I want to take photos and be like in front of the NASA thing, but I'll find a way.
To the sides of the roads and in the waterways, you never know what you might see. This is the largest American hand-painted flag in the world.
When from this very spot, man took off to find the moon.
You are now in the final minutes before the launch of Apollo 8, right here where it actually happened.
This thing is so massive. Oh my gosh. I don't think the camera can even pick up how big it is.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
4:30 p.m. I got back around 5 hours ago. Ever since then, I've just been sorting out my suitcases. When I went back to say goodbye to everyone when Utopia was in the port, I just picked up a few last bits and bobs that they couldn't fit into the suitcases or didn't have time to. I also just wanted to organize everything so it wouldn't be too difficult to unpack when I get home. I had a pretty jam-packed day. It was so exciting though. It's my first time at NASA. I'm really glad that I made that spur of the moment decision to go. I just found out that they're flying me out tomorrow, so it would have been my last day to go. Even though it was by myself, I feel like I got so much done, and I really enjoyed the order in which I did things in. First, I went on the bus tour with the Apollo exhibit. I did the Atlantis exhibit, and at the Atlantis exhibit is where I did the space shuttle simulator. That was one of my favorite parts. I love a good museum, I love a good ride. Then after that, I went to the Gateway building, which has a lot of like memorabilia of recent space stuff, and it talks about a lot of current efforts of different companies that are going to space, like SpaceX, Blue Origin. And lastly, I hit up the last showing of a film in the IMAX theater. It was called Space, the New Frontier, I think. Anyway, the whole experience was incredible. I'm feeling a bit bummed. I'm going home only a week before the end of the contract. It's just sad that I'm not there to close out the show with the cast and all of the fun activities that come along with the last week of the contract, like watching the blooper video together. It's just really hard when you spend 7 months with a group of people to leave them before you've had your final celebrations. Just gonna stay positive. I know my body will enjoy the rest, and I'm so excited to be home for Christmas. I'm gonna head to bed now, have a restful sleep, and then I have until 1 tomorrow before I get picked up to go to the airport, so I'll just deal with the last bits and bobs in my suitcases in the morning. All right, I've got most of my belongings all packed up. Quite a process. I've got 3 suitcases, 2 checked and 1 carry-on, and then I also bring a backpack. It's quite a strategy, packing to be gone for 7 months and then coming back after 7 months. I've got it down to science now, I think. No. Oh no. The zipper pull just came out. It, like, the metal broke off. I can just use the other side. Let's go. 60 pounds. This one's 42. Okay. I've never left a contract and been under the 50-pound limit for my suitcases, so I wonder if this will be the time. I always hold out a little bit of hope. I'm also traveling with 2 pairs of skates this time. 1 pair of blades, but 2 pairs of skates, so this is shocking, actually. When I told you it was a science, I'm not kidding. Okay, I'm pretty pleased. This one's only like 1 pound over and this one's 0.4. It'll be okay. This is my rolling carry-on that I love so much. There's no zipper. There's only these. So it's super easy to get in and out of when you're traveling. Probably one of the best pieces of luggage I've ever had. There's my life for the last 7 months. Now that I'm all packed up, ready to go, I've got 20 minutes before the person comes to pick me up and drive me to the airport. And hopefully they bring my passport as well, because I still have my passport. Now I'm gonna transport all of my bags downstairs to the lobby, which will be quite the feat. I know that it's this way because they don't want people making a lot of noise with their luggage in the hallways, especially late at night. But why can't they have a smooth flooring, not carpet, in hotel hallways? Because it would make it so much easier to roll heavy bags down to the lobby. Get my strength training in for the day. Hello, it is future Brianna again. I just wanted to say thank you all for your kind, supportive, thoughtful comments on my previous video about the concussion. And just an update how I'm doing now. I'm feeling so much better. I still have to take the medication for about 5 more days, so we'll see once that ends. I'll have a follow-up appointment soon. Definitely think that my iron levels have come up now from losing so much blood. I was a bit pale and lightheaded for a while. I think things have started to normalize now and I'm feeling like myself more. This rest will be good for me, but I am definitely looking forward to going on a contract again soon. I want to share my time at home with you as well, introduce you to my sister and my family and everything. Also planning on doing a Q&A video soon, so if you do have questions, definitely leave them below and I'll try and answer them in my Q&A video. Thank you so much for watching and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.